Welcome back to EPIC45 with Intel, sponsored by Overclockers and Asus ROG. I'm Jack Destroyer 4, joined by the wonderful Sheba. It's good to be back.
Yo, it's good to be back.
It's a long time no see.
We're back in LAN.
Yeah,
Let's
I
go.
mean, it's been a few months. We're back here. It's now summer. The weather's a lot nicer. And we're back for some more great games.
Of course. I mean, Epic LAN is always great. This is a particularly smaller LAN as well, so it's not going to be as crazy as hectic, but it's a good build-up, right? It's a good build-up for the excitement that we could see in the future as well. Some really strong teams and some good potential teams that we could see in the future actually do a lot better, a lot further, and much more stacked lineup. So I'm really looking forward to it. Although it might be a smaller event, there are still some potential, some really exciting games, particularly this one. San-Sational and Office Chair Moment. A lot of lore with these two teams as well. A pretty fun, surprising matchup this early into the tournament.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen a couple of these players beforehand. We were having a little look beforehand. I know you were talking about, some players playing with each other before and now maybe facing off in the server this time. Yeah. But it's one of those where, a lot of these players are used to LAN. A couple newer players in. We'll have to see how they perform. But, I mean, anything specific you want to highlight before we go into anything?
Yeah, I mean, it's important to note, first and foremost, both these teams are really solid. These guys are both very high ranked. These guys are both very strong. However, one thing that's important to note is that Office Chair Moment have a couple players on their team who played for San-Sational last Epic, EPIC45, not that long ago, just a few months ago. Yeah. And that puts into question the playbooks that both these teams are going to be rocking. Modi and Nova particularly are the two players from the OC Moment team that were playing for San-Sational before. Aside from that, though, San-Sational are a whole new sweep, aside from, of course, the man who makes the name true, Mr. San himself, right? Aside from that, it is a whole fresh slate for the San-Sational roster. And so you could maybe imagine, considering San is the leader of this team, most likely to be the IGL as well, I wonder how Modi and Nova are going to be feeding some of that previous experience information, building those habits for Office Chair Moment to abuse that, right? Especially their duel themselves, who's, again, is the man after name. His name is OC Moment, Office Chair Moment. Yeah. He is going to be that signature Neon player, that signature duelist, rapid pace player who might be the one who's most likely to abuse any kind of habits that San is going to be implementing into his core roster.
Yeah, I mean, it's something you have to watch out for. When you've played with players in the past and then you go in with a new roster, yes, but you've got these two players that kind of understand your playbook a little bit. I mean, yes, we've had a bit of a new map pool change. We'll get onto that in a bit. But you've still got a lot of these, standard maps, which a lot of places, you might feel more comfortable. Your Lotuses, a lot of teams lean into that. But then you've got a team that, has previous players. They know how you like to play it. They kind of know what you like to prioritize. So it's, do you cook up a whole new strat book, or do you kind of just keep it as it was before and just believe that you can still diff them in the server?
Yeah, and I think what's really exciting about this one in particular is how the teams are going to be adapting to the meta changes that we're going to be seeing. Yeah. At least in Tier 1 and Upper Tier 2, things have changed quite a bit since the previous patch with Masters Toronto, and before that with EPIC44. Yeah. Double Initiate was a really common composition that we saw everywhere, especially with Teho being rampant. Teho's now out
was
and
busted.
Dusted. Aside from, he was busted.
He was busted.
He's now just busted down to his grave now. Yeah. He is almost going to be only played by specialists for the most part. But aside from that, Double Initiator, oftentimes used with scan flashes, breach is very common as well. Yeah. That is not as common as a strategy as we're going to be seeing beforehand. Maybe because it's Tier 3, maybe because these guys are still very used to their old habits, we might still see that happen. In fact, we did see that on last map between the other two teams we saw previously with Crescent Orc and the last resort. Both of them still ran that Double Initiator, especially on Lotus, a map that is very habitual with all of these teams. They're very used to playing the same comps. It's a very common map in Tier 3. It's almost always played at Epic LAN. I feel like it's a curse in Tier 3 to see Lotus too often. And I don't blame the teams. Lotus is a great map, but we need to see something different, especially with Corrode coming out, which has been probably one of the best received map by the community in a long time. Yeah. Corrode has not needed any massive significant changes since its inception, which is great. It is a really fun map and really exciting if we end up seeing it in the future.
Yeah, I think it's always one of those things. We get a new map through. I mean, we saw it a few epics ago when Abyss came into the map pool. It took until finals until we got to see it. I'm hoping we see Corrode before that point. But also, I mean, these teams haven't had that long. The map only came out, I believe, just over 2 or 3 weeks ago. I mean, we're going to see these bans coming on through here. For a second, I thought we might have it. No, we've got Haven. Another one of those maps that the teams like to lean into. It's a free site map. You have a lot more chances to explore. A lot more places you can fight for a bit of pressure in a different position. But to see Haven come on through, I mean, it's sad to see Corrode get banned out in that last ban. But
it is what it is.
Hey,
yeah.
Look, we can't see it too early in this tournament.
Yeah, Corrode is going to have to be a pleasant surprise we may be seeing later on, maybe with best of 3s. Yeah. So hopefully that could be something that we see later on. But Haven, better than Lotus. I'm glad we're seeing two different maps
banned out as first ban.
And that's interesting to see, considering how confident a lot of these teams in this tournament have been with Lotus. Oftentimes, it's almost always seen as that optional later map where, you know, if your favorite maps gets banned off, and maybe your other ones are not too favorable, Lotus is just a safety net to really lean into,
it's kind of like fallback.
Yeah, this time we're seeing it banned straight off of the bat from San-Sational, and so that is quite interesting to see. Usually speaking, that's maybe something to be concerned about in terms of the previous history that you have. Lotus is a map with very strong preparations from all these teams, and maybe that's a counter pick from San-Sational, knowing that obviously at the moment have a couple players who know what they've done before, maybe don't want to counteract with that, or it's just a comfort thing. Good thing is, regardless, we're seeing Haven, which is a really, really cool map. Always going to be a fan favorite, I like to think, I mean, with a lot of options for versatile comps as well.
Yeah, it's been in the pool for quite a while. It's been on and off a few times here and there, but it's one of those that's, you know, consistent. People know what to expect from this map. The team compositions, they've kind of changed over time, but you still kind of go back to those similar basics. As we'll see here, as we go into Agent Select, we'll have to see what comes on through. But, I mean, we're seeing a Yoru already locked in. That's one that's come in a lot more recently. You see those Yorus that dive agent can just go in and get aggressive. On a map like Haven, you can go be aggressive on one side of the map, TP with the rest of your team, and you're all together grouped up.
Yeah, in terms of duelist meta, we're seeing a really sudden shift in the upper levels, and you can tell which teams like to stick to the traditional and which teams really like to break out of the mold. ISO and Yoru have been two agents in particular who have been massively popular in tier 1 and upper tiers level of Valorant competitive, and for good reason. Yoru is a really strong agent. Haven is a 3-map site. It's a very big map and very difficult to rotate safely if you don't want to go through B and risk yourself opening yourself up to B main, which is why Yoru rotation-wise is really strong. On top of that, engaging onto the site, there are very safe areas that Yoru can TP into, which makes him so strong, particularly on A and C sites. So those are going to be two areas that we're mostly going to be seeing pushed out, especially with that ISO from Modi being picked as a secondary duelist. Again, those two opposite sites of A and C are your main priorities. That's going to be where you can abuse your ISO wall, you can abuse your contingency decay, and your suppress. Yoru TP can put you into either under heaven or into backside behind plat and box, which gives you a bit of an anonymity aspect to that, right? And that makes this comp really, really famous, especially with Fnatic, a team who have pioneered this composition, you know, with their double duelist Kayak and Althea, who were superstars on this composition until people started figuring it out and playing it a lot more differently. But aside from that, San-Sational going with old tried and true traditional, the double initiator, breach Sova, and
Yeah, I mean, it's the classic of, you know, you see that jet coming on through, you got the breach for a lot of those more choke points, you know, a lot of the entrances to site, that's going to be perfect for that. You've got your Sova, I mean, tried and true. Everyone knows how the Sova works. You send your darts over, you reveal a couple players, you try to push them back off of site, or you just get aggressive onto them. And, I mean, we see the omens on both sides. I feel like that's just a given at this point. It's just the pick for this map. It's a bit of a bigger map, but you don't need an Astra. Some teams in the past have maybe picked into it a bit, but Omen is just great. You've got that blind as well. It just combos up perfectly.
Yeah, and I know with OC Moment, last time these guys ran Haven on their premier roster, they didn't run the double duelist. Instead, they went with a bit more of a tried and true, just literally swapping one of the roles with the Yoru over the Jet. But now that we have managed to get into it, it's time to begin here on Haven. And already a little bit of contact made through that dart, and that's going to reveal synergy to start off.
Office Chair looking to just get a bit aggressive towards the A, but in this B site, Earthia's already found all of this space. Two teammates to back him up as well. Gonna have to see what they can get done here. Spots one player out, will not land the shots. As Synergy will get that kill back, but it gets traded straight back on the other side. Kills going each and every way. And all of a sudden, Office Chair Moment have the advantage here. They'll get this B site for free, but they have to be careful of this flank from this Sova player. This could be so big for them as they're not going to spot it out. We'll get tagged up a little bit, the smoke will go out, and the spike will be planted down for now.
That spear push attempt there from San-Sational unfortunately starts with Airfree and ends with Airfree as he drops down early and makes this early push from San-Sational really difficult to counteract. And with still Office Chair Moment now being able to take that space, courtesy of Modi with that shield, you've only got both Sharky and the server of San-Sational left intact. And that's really all that's going to be left here. Sharky now left.
Perfect spot. There we go, shuts it down. No opportunities there at all for the side of San-Sational. You get a few kills in that round. You're not going to be too fed up with it, but I mean, the aggression did not work out in their favor. They sent 3 players aggressive B, and they got traded. With
pistol rounds, you have to be bold. You have to be a bit innovative because it's a very important round for your momentum to start, right? If you get that early pistol round, you get that second buy, and depending on how strong that bonus is, as long as you secure all of your weapons, you still have a really good chance to deal massive damage to that third round buy. Once that's done, that is when your momentum is really set into stone. And so obviously a moment with a good start to get into it. Hopefully, with later on down the line, we're going going to be seeing something bounce back from San-Sational, but so far so good for OCM. They've made the most of this and counteracted a good aggressive start on the pistol round. Seems like now they're going to be going with a bit more traditional split here with an A-site push, an A-long push encouraged here with Erino on that Bucky.
You got to clear this out. You have to be so careful in these positions. You have the guns in your favor, but there's still so many things to clear out. So many little corners you have to be careful of. And I mean, a B site is one of those where you've got to be careful if you want to commit to it. It looks like they're going to want to lean towards C site, maybe going through garage, but they have to be aware there could be some utility here. There won't be, but just the jet player watching over as the Cypher will just sit on C, but they're going really slow here, maybe expecting a push from San-Sational again.
That flush smoke is very suspicious. It almost kind of entails a potential multi-man push coming out, which makes Office Chairman a little more hesitant to commit to that A side. And you can see them now pivoting up through C to walk into Sharky's Cypher setups. But you still have that outlaw here from Office Chair Moment waiting for an official push, and that's unfortunately now forced the C side to be all onto Sharky. There's not really much he can do aside from just hoping Gravis one. It's not going to happen.
That's going to be the site secured for Office Chair Moment for now, but a couple of these San-Sational players are close. They should be able to try and retake together here. They're going to wait for the rest of the team to group one up, but they have to be careful of this Cypher lurk. Player number 6 on the minimap, he's just going to be lurking around waiting as they just want to spam through these smokes. They don't want to allow a chance for San-Sational to even get close enough to these gunfights. As Entro decides to TP up top, just to hold this angle, will spot out one of these players, but has to back on up. Can't land the shots for now. They want to get aggressive. They want to take these fights as the dart comes through. It's going to spot a couple players out, but Entro is there to shut it on down. Synergy gets the last on that lurk, and that will be the round for Office Chair.
Unfortunately, not really a lot of room for San-Sational. You had that Bucky in play, hoping for some aggression from Office Chair Moment, and it just didn't work out. You couldn't get the right position there. You had a chance with the bait of the Sova to give Erino that chance on the Bucky to catch out anybody, but it didn't work out. They kind of got themselves already leaked. That flush smoke led to a bit of suspicions from Office Chair Moment, and they thought, okay, there has to be more than one person on this A-long space. We have to maybe pivot to C, and that backfires. That strategy backfires, giving them so much easy space onto C. And once you have that space on C with superior weaponry, you're a sitting duck. You have to face the music and just commit to a fight and pray you can win something.
I mean, this insta-stun and dart straight away to try and slow down any chance of an A aggressive here. But it looks like from the side of Office Chair, they want to go back towards the C site. They're not going to have the weaponry in their favor for this round. But Entro going to be that first player in. They chuck some smokes on now, going to spot out this first player. But they get away with their life. Going to back off towards this backside. They've both been spotted out. They go and take the fights. OC Moment gets one, but will get traded back by that operator you might mentioned as well. Trade's going back on the other side as well, though. And all of a sudden, OC Moment have the site control. Despite the lesser weaponry, have managed to take the C site. There is 2 players left standing for San-Sational here, but Modi's managed to recover this operator. He's going to spot them out, gets the first almost a collat there for a second. And Modi's just going to wait for this. I mean, it's all left onto one player of San-Sational, but what can you do here?
This is a difficult scenario here for San-Sational. This is what makes Yoru and ISO so scary against that operator from Earthria. It is a risk you have to take against this composition. You either face Modi with either the shield to give you less space, or an Yoru TP right in your face with such weaponry like a Stinger and a Spectre. What can you do if you're Earthria, aside from hoping you can get your one and pray you don't get caught out in that trade? It's not possible. You can't do that against this composition, which makes it so hard to deal with that op. And once you've given it away on C-site, that's an almost done deal. You don't have an ISO to counter that. You only have a breach stun. Hope he doesn't die as well, trying to peek out, back up your team. It's a difficult scenario there for San-Sational, and that's going to lead them to concede that third round alongside an operator. But Office Chair Moment, if they choose to use it, could be really scary. San-Sational won't have any room to push. They're just going to have to face the music and hope they can win their ones.
Yeah, I mean,
on the other team's terms.
Yeah, they're going to have to go on their terms. It looks like they're just going to watch towards B on the defensive side. Just watch out for where that push could be going, as a couple of these players from Office Chair just lurking outside of B, just waiting, maybe expecting a bit of aggression, but from the side of San-Sational, you know they could have an operator. You're not going to want to get aggressive here.
Flush smoke is going to be kind of concealed as a bit of a ruse now. As you now know that space is not claimed too dearly here from San-Sational, but you still have no close back of sewers with Bucky still in hand.
Deal with, manages to almost get the first there, but will get taken out straight away by Nova there. Gets shut down, and that's going to be the A-site control for the side of Office Chair Moment here. You've got this one player in heaven watching over, but there's not much they can do. Only a sheriff in hand has to bide their time, wait for the team to group back up, and they're going to go for this together. But there's so many players left to clear out. A 4-on-5 retake. You're just going to go off of this flash, I believe, but looks like they're delaying. Not too sure what to do, as Gotta wait for this breach flash. They're gonna send out a recon dart as well. Try and spot out some of these players. The stun is through as Entro in front sight gets stunned up. Can't take these fights, but still manages to get back on board. A big stun over onto that one player. Takes him down really weak, and Synergy manages to get 2. Modi a third as well. And all of a sudden, only one player left standing. Manages to get the first share, make that a second. Misfuse, no way you can get anything more here. No time.
No time, but great value still there from San-Sational. I mean, what else can you really do here? Misfuse had a really good position to abuse that utility off of that scan and the stun as well, giving them a lot of ability to do damage with that shock darts, and you can see them translated there on both the Cypher and Sova of OCM. It deals a good amount of damage, and yeah, but after that, they used all their resources. They couldn't use anything to win the fights. Earthreader took some early space, but had to dash away because he couldn't get that kill to start the fight, and that made the retake a complete bust.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those where it seems like if Office Chair Moment want a site, they kind of just take it. There is no option for San-Sational to delay them, to slow them down or anything like that. And then it puts you into this retake position. And there's just so much to clear out. You've still got those 2 duelists on the side of Office Chair that want to get aggressive.
You've got a setup here which is going to be used to counteract that aggressive push. But that smoke is going to block off Earthreader from even doing any damage. And that's perfect. But unfortunately for OCM, it doesn't really matter. Misfuse will get an early pick, but kill contract is next. And it misses!
Misses all these players, and Earthreader manages to get one. Sorry, Misfuse managed to win that one out as well. Entro will manage to trade one back on the other side, and this is a great position for San-Sational. A 4-on-2 now, only 2 players left standing, and they're both towards this suicide.
The shadows.
Entro may be stuck in this corner just a little bit with the spike in hand. The Synergy's going to have to try and bail him out there. Try and find a couple picks as Entro will decide to back on up.
They're going to be pincered down soon. They really need to find a pick to establish numbers, otherwise they're not going to have a lot of pressure when they rotate. You've got Nitro with that from the shadow. Surely they think about using this if they get numbers, but they need to get those numbers. Otherwise you'll be into a 4 versus 2 retake situation, and you're using this util to slow down the push even more. They need to find them, but San-Sational will not give them any space.
Yeah, Misfuse just still holding this one down. There we go. As you called it out, the ultimate will be invested. That will give them the C site, but there's a Cypher there ready to try and take this fight. And Synergy manages to find one out on the other side, but needs to rush on over towards the C site and help out his teammate. Sharky already onto site. So needs to find his player out soon. We'll hear this reload in the close corner as well as Arena takes down the other player. It's going to be a shutdown there for Sharky. And San-Sational get around on the board.
Can't land the paranoia when it really matters there. A good attempt to sanction off, isolate fights with that smoke. But you need to win those fights. You need to land the paranoia right. Unfortunately, just misses by a hair. And that's going to give San-Sational their first round on the board. Thank goodness for them. Had they lost this one, it could have snowballed into really serious circumstances. But it almost backfired. You notice that OCM had that push there to catch out one. And that made it a 2 versus 3. But with that being said, that's why you need more numbers established. Because had you gotten more, had it been a 2v2, you could have got that plant and ran along and given your teammate more time to rotate. But it didn't work. And that is why the numbers really mattered in that situation.
Yeah, it's just one of those really awkward where you didn't really have an option to go to A, but you're going to have the awkward timings of where the other player's not there ready. They managed to get one pick, but yeah, that's what they could get. As a spam through the smoke. Arena will take down OC Moment already. I mean, that's a great pick early on, just to try and slow down this aggressive from Office Chair Mode.
I mean, a spearhead of the push, you know, the Yoru is almost essential for an effective C-flight push for this composition, and with that attempt with the shield, that's usually what you do to give your team more space going up, to give Yoru more time, a quicker chance to trade if he goes down on that opening fight. But it didn't work out. Great spam from Erino to take that early push out of the equation. But now Garage is their next priority. With the shield popped out from Modi. And Erino has no clue!
For a second there, it looks a bit dangerous, but Sharky will get the trade back on the other side. Manages to only get one before being taken down there. As this will be site control for Office Chair Moment, but it's not very confident here. As there we go, Synergy has managed to find a pick that should give them safe passage. They can hold this one down for now, but
Neuro Theft is rough.
They're going to know exactly where they are, and it's going to be an awkward position here. Do San-Sational commit to this one? You're on the 2-on-3. You've got one player weak on the other side, but still so much to be done.
Earthreader's lost that element of surprise with that flank from Garage. Now he's going to be forced to just double up with his teammate and hope he can win those ones. But with this high-low setup now established from Office Chair Moment, this is going to be rough here. Nova from Plat, and you've got 2 different angles that San-Sational have to worry about. And it's up to Earthreader.
For a second there,
It was almost
managed
possible.
to get 2, but didn't realize where the third player had gone and wrapped around the boxes, and Synergy will close that one out. But
Synergy was low.
it was a close round from San-Sational. We're starting to see a bit more brilliance from them. Just trying to get a couple more of these rounds on the board. They know the importance, especially on your defense side. You want to get a few of those solid rounds on the board. You can't go into your attack side. You know, you haven't played against this team yet. It's, you know, first game. You want to get as many rounds as possible in that first half.
I mean, it's a really good conversion from Office Chair Moment, transitioning through into Garage, where you're forced to go into those tight engagements. That shield is a good contingency plan to help you out with that close range approach. You have a chance to deal with those rat spots if you go into Garage. With that spearhead loss of the Yoru last round, they made a good adaptation, so well played from Office Chair Moment. The next round in, Measure Drift invested, and a crossfire is revealed. Massively done, but it's going to do nothing about it.
Darky managed to shut that one down, and OC Moment whiffs the shots, gets traded out by Areno there.
Disaster.
And what looks like a really good push, managing to clear out all these players. Hang on a second, on the other side, Synergy managing to get 2 towards this B site, punishes that garage aggression. And this is going to opt for them to go towards this A site. There's going to be a player here ready from San-Sational. Well, we'll have to see what Misfuse can get done here. Going to lurk down towards Sewer. Might catch out this Breach player. They're not too sure of this rotate, but they're being quiet. Not too sure, and Nova will get the kill onto them as well. I mean, that's going to be the site for Office Chair Moment for now, and San-Sational, another retake required.
And that angle from Mystios, an attempt to catch out that push through sewers. Unfortunately, an angle way too common. You need to try and get something a little bit more off base to catch them off guard, but it just didn't work out. We see him now with the number up on this post plan. Again, adapting really well to their circumstances. Synergy with a great lurk, prompting that rotation quickly. This puts San-Sational in a tough spot. You've got Areno, who's really, really low, and attempt of a fake TP. Paranoia is still in their possession. But how do you play this? It's going to be from under hell. Nitro's got the cover perfectly. The Paranoia misses by a hair. And that's going to give Officer Moment a free pass into the next round.
I mean, that's the awkwardness. When you've got those 3 players left standing, you can only really blind 1 or 2 confidently, and there's always going to be that 3rd player watching, and in this position, only manages to get blind onto 1, and just Nitro there to shut it down.
Yeah, even if Paranoia is the strongest ability in the game, there's only so much you can do if they split it that well. Maybe a little bit of an inaccurate use of Paranoia, maybe assuming more than one person was under heaven, or maybe even thinking that would land. Yeah. Deceptive, but it's not going to be the case, and that's going to be a problem that may have just cost them the round. Had that blind landed through and they won that pick from backside, it could have been it. But not this time. Officer Moment are keeping this momentum in stride, and it looks like a C fake is going to be the plan here.
They've committed the spike over towards this side, so it's a bit of an interesting play there, just being aggressive. That one player in Omen, solo on the site, just trying to commit towards C, but they will rotate to rejoin with the rest of the team there, as this A space has been taken from the side of Officer Moment. They've got a bit of the space towards Sewer and a tiny bit up main as well. But there's these 2 players on site they're going to have to deal with. They do have the better weaponry though, so this should be easy to clear out.
Their site is really difficult to retake. And so you really need to hope that they can establish a space for the kill contract. Those 2 orbs taken away from Officer Moment of the ISO is going to be able to isolate and go for one of those fights. Mystios and Orphea together will get 2!
San-Sational managing to win out these fights, but gets traded back on the other side by Nitro, managing to get 2 of that Phantom, sprays them down. And all of a sudden, what looks really worrying for Office Share Moment, they've got the site control for now. But this Breach player in Gringo managing to just hold down this spot, but they're going to have to push in with this Judge. I mean, we'll have to see what they can get done. Maybe hoping for a bit of aggression from Office Share Moment, but with both duelists down, I don't think they're going to commit for it.
You had a great start. You won the kill contract. I forget with I guess the Sheriff taking down the ISO, but it's not enough. There's only so much you can do. San, the one man, can only do so much with the Judge. And that's going to be a clean sweep for Office Share Moment. I mean, what a start. It just blows away again. This is a consistent pattern that we're seeing with San-Sational.
Yeah. I mean, it's one of those where it's just an awkward position again. They keep getting forced into these retakes, and they just don't seem to have a great answer for them. You know, when they get that early aggression, they got those 2 kills on a round where they really shouldn't have got that. You know, managing to win out that kill contract and get another on the site, but instantly gets traded back from the other side.
That's obviously a moment showing a very strong lack of fear into that. They're all committing to their trades, knowing that they can win those ones, not only with the superior weaponry, but just superior team play and confidence in there as well. San-Sational are a bit more hesitant, and they're not backing each other up when they notice they have numbers. They should be sprinting onto that A side when you know you have 2 things on, but they were too little too late. And with Beef being an off-session push, usually not what we'd see,
Modi's got all this
Modi's
space
already
though.
claimed so much.
I don't know if they've realized that Modi's already in the backside, as OC Moment will get 1. Modi trading these sprays down, manages to get 1, and the other will get got by Nitro there as well. Brings it down to another 3-on-2, another awkward position for San-Sational, and this time they're split on the 2 sides as well.
Areno with that hero 2-piece as well is going to be making this a little bit more winnable here for San-Sational. But it's the same 2 that are always last alive. It is always Sharky and Mystios to be the last 2 who simply can't do anything about it.
Yeah, I mean, with that ISO still on board as well, they're willing to get aggressive. They just want to shut down this round and end it out as quickly as possible, and they did exactly that.
It's a really dominant first half showing so far from Office Chair Moment. They've been able to make peace with those deficits and make room to still force their way through on this attack side. And it's not like it's going to get any easier on the defense either. You're going to be able to have very rapid rotates off the Yoru. You're going to be able to have those secure A-site fights, particularly off that ISO. It's going to be a lot harder for San-Sational later down the line to win these.
Another worrying sign again is seeing that breach stuck on that shotgun again. One of those guns that really doesn't work on the retake. They're being forced onto it. And it's going to be an awkward position as, again, they're not going to that site, but this time the breach is rotated over to try and get a bit of aggression early on. This means that they've got the stuns and blinds available on this A site to try and slow down these players of office share moment. All the rotations have been called over from the side of San-Sational here. Going to have that Cypher in the back line as Misfius gets one, and one trader back on the other side. It's all even trades as it's a 3-on-3 now as Urfia runs through the smoke, gets the first, spots out a couple more players as well. Wants to take these fights, will not get the kill there, will get traded out by OC Moment, but last player standing. 3K on the round, would need a fourth as well. Knows where this player is and gets the kill. A clutch round for OC Moment and a 4K on the round, shutting down any opportunities for San-Sational.
What a good start from San-Sational. You had that pick from San, El Gringo on the breach. You know, usually he had that on to B, but that's a rare contingency plan to really be worried about here. You have to have different ideas for B. Ideally, you'd want to be up through sewers, and thankfully San had more than enough time, courtesy of his teammates' communication, to walk up there and get at least one before getting traded. And Urfia backed up in spades afterwards, getting a kill himself and taking more space, claiming that sewer space for his own team. But after that, OC Moment on the Yoru, the top list, is just too strong.
Who's next?
It's just an awkward position for them, and Urfia wanted to get aggressive there, but we're not spot any of these players as they get the safe passage across. OC Moment's going to spot out all of these players. They're going to know exactly where Urfia is. They send out the clone as well, and all of a sudden it's an awkward position, but the ultimate from the other side. The Rolling Thunder sent on through will throw all these players up into the air, but they haven't managed to get the kills, and all of a sudden San-Sational shut down 3 of these players, and they're going to have the advantage. Another one of these awkward positions here for OC Moment, and it's all left down onto one player in Synergy. There's players in the back line as well, and Areno will shut that one down, and it's the second round on the board.
One of few moments there where San-Sational really looked like they were on the right page there. A strong use of that Rolling Thunder to cleanly claim the whole site for themselves. Urfia had no choice but to stay on that back site because he heard that from the shadows used from San-Sational. You had to have stopped Areno from claiming that space. If that was claimed, it would have been a done deal. And Urfia was right to stay on the site, even if he knew he was in a lot of trouble.
Yeah, I mean, it was the right option there, and with the ultimate online, you were saying, but is it only that they're winning these rounds off of that ultimate? Without the ultimate, do San-Sational win that? That's the worrying thing as we go into this last round of the half. Synergy's opted to pick up this operator, maybe to just try and spot out one of these players and punish earlier. I would assume they have another gun nearby. They just had some extra credits maybe available, but Nova's going to send this recon over towards C site, try and spot out some of these players, but there's 4 on the other side. Goes for the ultimate will be popped, will tag up one of these players, and the counter will back from the other side as well. As the fights towards A, not going any way just for now. And no real damage from those ultimates from either side.
I mean, early contact was made there with Urfia, but he immediately fled the scene. He didn't want to deal with it at all. And I mean, you could have had a different timing where you could be running into an operator there, and that is a scary aspect to deal, and I think Urfia knew that, backing away. This attack operator in the last round of the half adds a lot of pressure to any plans of San-Sational to claim space. And even so, Urfia with an attempt of a skirmish is going to go down to Synergy on that operator, exactly what he had feared before. And now the B site is in the crosshairs here for OC Moment to close out the half.
Cody's going to be that first line in on that ISO. Wants to try and take these fights. The double tap will go offline though, so won't have that extra life on board with them. There is a breach close, and El Gringo manages to get one already onto OC Moment. And they opt to rotate off, hearing this rotate towards A site, and Nitro's going to be the first player on. Doesn't spot the player up in heaven, and Misfius manages to get the kill. All the rest players flooding on in, but it looks like all the San-Sational are ready for this. But Modi's in the back line, manages to get the first as Nova gets another on site. Misfius manages to get one as well, but they don't realize about Modi. But Modi gets shut down by Misfius. A 3K on the round, and it's a 9-3 half. I mean, San-Sational manages to get a couple of late rounds there. But is it too little too late?
A little bit of a heart attack moment there for San-Sational. You notice when Modi got the opening pick on the back, you almost kind of felt like once you got your one on the front site, you were a little unsure of exactly where the ISO was, which is a bit scary in terms of communication there from San-Sational, but thankfully it doesn't backfire too badly. Modi if he only got one extra kill, had he won that fight against Mythios, he would have had an advantage using that kill contract by his own terms. That could have been the deal breaker, but it wasn't enough here. It's going to be a 9-3 half for Officer Moment. Still, regardless, a really strong half for them. And with this next part coming in, it's a scary half to deal with if you're San-Sational. You're going to have to go with old traditional means. You don't really have that ability to lurk round heavy. You're going to be going for those strong, aggressive pushes to claim space and keep that space in your possession.
Already Office Chair Moment wanting to get aggressive down in this mid positioning as well, taking so much of this site. Just making sure there's no opportunity towards B. It looks like San-Sational don't want to try and fight this. They're going to opt to go towards C site, but there is a Cypher set up there ready, and these two players in Garage can rotate so quickly.
I'd be a little bit scared if I was the Jet Tool as being the last point of contact here. You need to get that aggressive pincer in. But Modi, step too far. A little bit greedy. Maybe not thinking that the C push was that ensuing yet, but that might have just given a big opportunity for San-Sational. Synergy.
You don't know about Synergy. The spam's coming on through and can't land the kills. Earthria might just get two back on the site as Nova will trade one back on the other side, but all of a sudden, San-Sational have managed to take all of this site presence, will get this spike down, and there's only one player left standing.
The entry duelist late to the party, but still happy to turn up. He's going to grab two really essential one-tap headshots to give San-Sational that pistol. It's a big start for them. They can snowball this. It could work wonders.
Yeah, I mean, this is a round they needed. Early on, you need to get that pistol round. When you're down all of these rounds, if you lose out that pistol, you're often giving up that 11th round as well, which would leave them in 11-3, which is not a deficit you want to be dealing with. On the other side, you've won this pistol. Hopefully you can convert this one. Brings you within 4 rounds if you convert this as well.
Yeah, round difference is going to make this a lot less scary here for San-Sational. The comeback is possible. And you can't help but really feel like the over-aggression Modi, that misstep on the ISO, was the thing that really snowballed this into a good win from San-Sational. This could be a big confidence bring, especially with the Earthria, that star duelist. You need them to be confident, and those two opening picks are just the cherry on top. But this time, they're taking it slow.
No one's watching towards B, but Synergy's managed to find one by getting aggressive up C with a classic. Will take down Misfius already into this round. I mean, that's just going to cause a bit of a wrench in the works for San-Sational.
You can't lose those. San-Sational, that's a rough one to go down with. You've lost your Sova, you've lost your recon initiation. You need that to pile up pressure when you push A. And Other Chair Moment have read it really well, assuming that had you established that space, you could have maybe just pivoted to A. Yeah. But that stack now is going to be deemed a misread, as B is on the crosshairs this time.
Yeah, it looks like they're going to want to go towards B, but I mean, on that lesser weaponry, B is one of those sites that is a bit easier to retake. A lot of closer angles, which often favors these closer weaponry, but going to have the site for now for San-Sational. Going to have the man disadvantage, but looks like Earthria wants to get a bit aggressive, try and spot out some of these players before they get into sight. It's going to be waiting for this swing on through. They spot out a couple of players from these shots. Earthria can't land anything for now. Wants to drop one down. Gets the first kill. Well, gets traded back by a classic from OC Moment as the rest of the players flood on in. Managing to find another for Modi, and Nova gets another as well. And it's a round for Office Chair Moment. One that should have been a guarantee for San-Sational, but Office Chair Moment had the read in the round.
I am not sure what made San-Sational so hesitant to fully engage onto that C site. I mean, that B flood is something you don't want to face on a 4-5-man eco. You have that ISO utility, you have the Euro Flash, you've got way too much utility to be dealing with for close quarters fights. These guys have classics, but for close range fights on the B side, that's exactly what you want. That's why you have to prioritize A or C. If you know you've still gotten picked off by Cypher, you still just have to commit to one of those guns, especially when you see Earthria with that Vandal. You give one of those Office Chair Moment players the Vandal, like we saw with Modi, it's over. You've lost.
Yeah, that's the round. And I mean, you look towards this round, and Office Chair Moment, they're going to have the money in their favor. They've recovered a couple guns from the last round as well. That's just going to help them as we go into these future rounds. And it's going to make it that much harder for San-Sational to break the econ. As already, Modi managing to find that first pick onto Sharky. Cypher getting a bit too aggressive, and now you've got to be careful of your back line.
Yeah, and an attempt of alert coming through to maybe claim a bit more info to give San-Sational better grasp on the locations of everybody, but it backfires. Sharky taken down. And as the calm before the storm is cooling down the pace, rotation for San-Sational still is going to be that C part of the site. Have Erino
standing ahead.
Up in Garage, anticipating maybe a chance to catch out the lurks from B, but it's not going to work out.
That's wild, this player in Synergy. Impact site, though. They're going to know where the positioning is, but that's not enough to get the kill. As Earthria manages to get the first, but Synergy gets two back on the other side with this Outlaw. Such a powerful weapon against these lesser weaponry. Synergy wants to keep getting aggressive with the classic as well. A 3K on the round. One player left standing in Areno. Yes, you had a great look for a good time and a good position, but you're going to get shut down. An expected round there from Office Chair Moment, but a dominant round nevertheless.
Yeah, well played from Office Chair Moment. Good retake. I mean, aggressive timing from Synergy, just perfect with that Outlaw. When you're in that eco, Outlaw is essentially just a rapid-fire operator, and when you're on Synergy with that much confidence, 11 rounds in, why would you not? Why not try and take down a little extra, pin down San-Sational with already a bit of a desperate of a buy with Sheriffs. They're already, some of them going into half shields, a risk they took, backfiring here. San-Sational. Office Chair Moment with barely a dent in their economy with that previous round result.
I mean, on a round like that as well, just leaving one player on C and then winning out the fights, that gives you so much confidence. You don't have to worry about rotating as quickly as it's going to be an A-site hit for this one. Lots of tags going back on the other side as Modi manages to get two. Nova will get a third. Only one traded back on the other side, and already only two players left standing with Earthia brought down so weak, gets taken out by the operator as well. And suddenly it's all left down onto Areno. Doesn't know where this player is, and Nova will shut it down. A 12th round on the board, and that's match point.
It is indeed match point here for Office Jam Moment. San-Sational can't get their foot off the starting point. A couple moments of brilliance, but aside from that, almost nothing to show for, unfortunately. This composition from Office Jam Moment has been countering their plays back to back every single time. And there's really not much you can do about it. You had an attempt of a push, but that pincer play, you had Modi being backed up, having extra time to be traded out, or even time to back away and grab a shield to re-engage. Now you have that kill contract. That's going to make things so much more scary for San-Sational. How are you going to find a way to counteract this? Most people would answer, you can't.
Yeah. I mean, they're going to go aggressive, and Earthia might just get one already. This might be the answer they needed. Gets the knives online, can't land the shot switch for now, as OC Moment will trade one back on the other side. That's going to be a Vandal in the hands of Earthia here. He has to keep getting aggressive. But there's so many players on the A site here, you have to be careful. But they don't know how many are close. They're going to hear this Sova drone come on out, and Earthria's going to back on up. Going to get spotted out by that, and decides that this is the button to just go back. But do they know about this aggression up towards A main? They're going to spot out this one player in Sharky now. And it's going to be the rotate over, as B-side position has been taken by this Omen in Areno.
Big info there from OC Moment. Missing that operator is going to be enabling them to rotate, and Areno is hunting for synergy. He knows he's lurking around somewhere, and he's taking a big risk coming into this fight against the Outlaw. But it might be laboured, but he's won it. A little bit of insurance at the teabag to clear it off.
Just wins that one out, though, and decides to pick up the Outlaw instead, wanting to go for that gun. I mean, it's a powerful one, but
2 members of damage, so that's going to be a one-shot for 2 of them as well.
Yeah, but to drop the Guardian for it, I mean, it's one where you need to be landing your shots, and I mean, the shots we just saw, I'm not so confident for Areno.
No!
And I say that, Nitro's in the back line, managing to take down 2 already.
Where's the security?
This is exactly what they needed, and Earthria manages to trade one back on the other side, but still so much left to do. A 2-on-2 here as Nitro gets a third on the round. All left onto Sharky to keep them in the game and can't do anything more. It's 13-4 on the game for Office Chair Moment there, and they shut down San-Sational.
That looked like such a solid start from San-Sational. They had a perfect read, they had good discipline, they had a whiff from their Euro on the operators from Heaven. It was a match made in heaven. You won against the Cypher Duel to secure yourself that C site, but you just enable the flank like that? Yeah. A huge error after a really good start macro-wise from that team. And it shows the potential that they have, but Office Chair Moment just overall, just the stronger team, both synergistically, both individually, and in terms of composition. They counteracted that really, really well, and that is why they won in such dominant fashion.
Yeah, it was one of those where it seemed like whenever they had an answer from the side of San-Sational, it got shut down. Like, you know, you have 1 or 2 good rounds. I mean, we saw towards the end of that first half, they finally got a couple rounds on the board, and we thought, you know, maybe they carry the momentum through. You get the pistol round, and then the shock second round where they just get shut down.
Yeah. It's just nothing really much that San-Sational can do. They had some good moments of individualism, particularly from Earthria, I like to think, who was a pretty strong player, pretty strong anchor through and through. But they were just figured out so many times by Office Chair Moment, and the ISO Yoru combination from Modi and the Yoru together, it just didn't work out. They couldn't find a way to go against it. And with that, that's San-Sational going down 1-0, starting off in this group stage. Hopefully, they've still got a chance. They will guarantee the qualification, but it doesn't change the fact that they don't want to go into low seeding. The lower the seeding, the harder it gets. You don't want to go against the best team in the tournament, the best teams in the tournament to start yourself off. No. You've got to get a good record, at least in that upper middle ground set, to get yourself up there. But for now, that is going to be the second series of Epic LAN so far. But we've got more coming for you. We've got a couple more games, one more BO1, and then the first best of 3 for our bracket stages. So guys, we've still got a lot more going. Don't go anywhere. We'll see you guys very soon for the last best of 1 for group stage to confirm our bracket.